great show for y'all tonight. We're talking about the arts tonight, people. Like why this stuff is important. We have a magnificent guest for you. So before we introduce, how are you doing today?
I'm a little stressed out, but I'm all right, man. Just got off the... Yeah, man, just got back from NY, and apparently I missed I got it back today, but I missed a really good day of weather yesterday. So yesterday, thanks a lot, appreciate it. So yesterday in good old Manhattan, it was about 55, a little rainy, terrible traffic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry.
But Inside the NFL was a good show, last show of the season, man, and now I'm back in the district. A few wonderful three, excuse me.
No.
Nothing, man. I'm glad it's Wednesday, halfway through the week. Hopefully we'll survive whatever is going to happen to us Mother Nature-wise tonight, tomorrow. Well, it's not going to be crazy. It's just the people, though. It's the people. It's the people.
God is trying to tell us something is what it is.
What?
He's on his way back. Good grief. Come on now. There's going to snow the next day? Good night.
Yesterday, New Orleans had its first tornado.
Yeah.
And then record snowfall in California, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly right.
I don't know.
Go ahead and we have a great show for y'all. DP, jump in and introduce the guest, man.
All right. We have Louis Dallaire Jr., born and raised in New Orleans. All right. Went to Southern University at New Orleans, studied history. Military service, active service from 70 to 75, and Naval Reserve from 75 to 92. Have a list of accolades, but I'm just going to focus those on the performing arts. Okay. In 1975, 1980, the community theater production in New Orleans. From 83 to 85, he performed with the Jakarta Players in Pajama Game, The Diary of Adam and Eve, Puss in Boots. Back in 86 and 88, performed with Kathy Levy and the Players in Jamaica and the Fantastics. Did some other stuff with them as well. Worked as a stage manager for various productions. From 90 to 93, performed with Theater Workshop and Noon, the Fantastics, and served as the organizational president for 2 years. Also regularly attended the opera in Milan, Italy, and bringing us to today. Currently attends events in many theaters here in the D.C. area, New York City, and also Baltimore, including opera and ballet. Attends the opera simulcast from the Met to local cinemas for at least 10 per year. Also, and lastly, first, he always wants to see a play at least twice. Is that right? First,
That's
with
right.
a technical eye that looks at blocking, cast interaction, character believability,
Correct.
and choreography. And the same holds true for films as well. So, Mr. Dallaire, thank you and welcome.
Who found this guy?
Divergent.
Is this your guy?
It's my guy. It's my guy.
Salt. Put some salt.
Sanford & Son. Good. Google it more.
Good.
Got to be more careful.
Right.
Heard that more than once.
There you go.
That was an abridged.
My
This is
man.
the bridge version.
Yeah.
So we could have been here for another 7.5 minutes.
We could have.
Good.
After we finish the intro, it'll be time to do the outro.
Yeah. We appreciate you joining us. I mean,
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, sir.
and we talk about a lot of stuff on the show. You know, when Daryl told us that you were coming on, we're super excited. We called you a legend. Now we hear even the version of you.
Right.
Like, that's some powerful stuff. So, I mean, DP, jump in, man. When you thinking about the arts, I know you do this type of stuff a lot. So, your experiences, what have you seen in your travels artistically, domestically and internationally, and how do you think about the arts?
Well, actually, I have to attribute my regular attendance of the arts here in the D.C. area because of this man.
What?
He keeps me abreast of everything that I need to know about the performing arts here in the area. It really kind of got me back interested in just the arts itself and just the appreciation of, whether it's a ballet, an opera, a musical, what have you, from big venues to smaller venues, big productions to smaller productions, he recommended Row at the Arena Stage. That was an awesome production. And then, of course, you see the bigger productions like Swan Lake and such. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think I like it, obviously, and that's why I continue to go. But what I did find a bit interesting was just the lack of minority attendance, especially at any of the events, the big events and the smaller events. That's just my perception that I have seen, and probably Louis may be able to speak more about it. But it just as I keep attending the shows, I just kind of count how many people are on two hands. Like,
Right.
it's actually showing. So and so I'm trying to figure out why. What are
Well,
the
you
factors?
just said it. I mean, you said that I introduced you to things. If you're not introduced at some point in life,
Yeah.
you're never going to develop that fire to get more. And for young people, kids and youngsters learn by looking and by doing, and they will mimic the parents or their neighbors or their friends. And however that mimicry is done, if it's mimicking books and enjoying books or reading books or wanting to write a book, whatever it might be, the mimicry happens when they find the interest of the adult is passionate, and the child will take on that passion. And if the passion leads them to the performing arts, that's where they'll go, be it singing, be it playing a musical instrument, whatever it might be. If the parents or the siblings or whomever enjoy it, they may be led to enjoy it as well. And that's where a lot of going into it, because it's never about money,
Sure.
I'm sure, because you can find the money. You can borrow it from somebody, you can get a relative, a friend to loan it to you, or even give it to you, or you can get gift tickets. There are a lot of theaters. Most every theater in the city has a pay what you can night. You can only afford $1, 50 cents, you pay 50 cents.
Really?
Yes, really.
So why are the arts so undervalued like that? So you know,
It's what you learn. If you don't learn to appreciate it and value it, you don't.
but so the reason why I'm asking that question, like let's just say Bill Gates was giving a seminar,
Okay.
right? And it was $50 to $100 a ticket, right? Whoever was giving that seminar or giving that tutorial by Bill Gates would not say, "Hey, pay what you can pay."
No.
So I'm just trying to figure out.
But there's a reputation that goes with Bill Gates' name.
Right.
Microsoft is the link.
Right.
And if you're seeing yourself benefiting financially or economically from that, you're going to go to the seminar and pay whatever you have to pay. But you see a bit of potential benefit to yourself. You don't see that in performing arts. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a call, if you will, to be on stage performing. And if you don't get that call, if you don't get that drive, that emotion, that feeling, you're not going to do that just for the love of it. Because every play that I've been in, it took 8 weeks of basic rehearsing. I had to memorize the script. If it was a musical, I had to learn the songs. I had to go to deal with a voice coach. I had to learn any choreography or dance steps that went with it. And all of it takes time. And 8 weeks of just learning the lines is one thing. But 8 weeks of learning the lines, the music, the lyrics, and rehearsing it all. So you're there all day and all night.
Right.
So that's a level of practice a lot of kids these days have zero interest in, right?
Exactly.
It's a craft.
It becomes a craft, yeah.
So let me ask
And you have to start somewhere.
right, so when you think about where we are and your experiences and then the minority community, what do you think some of the benefits are of engaging in the performing arts, engaging, being a part of it, an active participant, or even going and just kind of taking in that ambiance, that experience to help you engage from a creative standpoint, to help you out in other areas of your life? What have you experienced?
The biggest benefit is the creativity it engenders within you.
Okay.
You learn to think out of the box. When you see a director developing something for stage in a new or interesting way, you wonder, well, how did he or she come up with this? And you begin to learn how to do that yourself. And that translates over to academia or to your own life and career in business if you go that way. The idea of being able to develop free thinking, free thought, clear thinking, thinking out of the box are the things that the performing arts help to do. Right. The performing arts can help you to look more favorably at yourself. Doesn't matter about gender, doesn't matter about your economic level, it's all about your self-perception. And the more positive that self-perception is, the more likely you are to confront any comer with a sense of self-worth.
So how does the performing arts help you engender that positive self-image of yourself, that self-esteem, that self-confidence? How does it play a role in doing that?
When you have to play a role of someone on stage, when I was 17, the very first play I was in was titled Medea. It's a play by a guy named Euripides, long since dead. And I was the tutor of Medea's children. I'm at 17 and I'm playing an 80-year-old tutor. So now I've got to learn how to do the voice, Medea, my lady, and then to do the walk and the little bent over thing. And so you have to think about this. So you have to be in touch with what your body can do. And that came back not to haunt me, but to help me when I became a competitive dancer for Arthur Murray back in the 90s. Yeah. And when I danced for them, It was a matter of knowing when your left foot goes, when your right foot goes, and how to lead the lady into the movement that she takes. It's a contract in dancing as a leader and a follower. And invariably, with the United States, the man is the leader, the lady the follower. So the man has to invite the lady to take a step or a move. If the lady accepts the invitation, she'll come along with the move you want her to make. If she doesn't accept it, she may just do her own thing and begin back leading, and then you got to follow her. So it's different, but the arts really help you to develop a sense of self.
Okay.
And with that sense of self, it makes you a stronger individual in terms of your ability to speak freely and not openly, but freely and more confidently. I mean, it's like having a firm handshake. Okay. It's not the little weak, limp handshake that people give you sometimes. And that's what a lack of personality is demonstrated in. When you have that firm handshake and eye contact and your ability to converse with a person, if your vocabulary is sufficient that you can express yourself, and what we mentioned earlier before coming on air, that your language and how you speak has to be modeled in such a way that what you're putting out in terms of words and sentences has to be understandable to the person you're speaking to.
The message is in the mind of the receiver.
Exactly. So if I'm speaking Spanish and you speak, if I say, ahora vamos a platicar en otro idioma para ver lo que podemos hacer, then you're going to say,
No hablo español, lo siento.
I would have said no hablo inglés. But I'm just saying we're going to speak in another language just to see what you can get.
Right.
Basically, is what I said. And if we do that in French, it's easy to study that. I mean, I have podcasts on my phone. I have Coffee Break Spanish, Coffee Break French, Coffee Break Italian, and Coffee Break German. So every day I'll listen to one of them for a half an hour or so and pick up a little something in extra languages. And I have 4 or 5 other languages that are not podcasts, but they're courses. I have Indonesian, I have Japanese, I have Portuguese, and it's just a matter of doing. And well, I had a piano teacher once. She was Hungarian by nationality, but she left in 1956 when the revolution took place. She went to England, became a British citizen. She married a Mexican military officer and moved to Mexico. Then he was assassinated some years later, but she kept her piano. She was a concert pianist in Hungary. Okay. So she kept her livelihood going by teaching piano. When I asked her if I could become a student, she said, "You're too old." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, you're too old. See, I only teach kids." So she called me 2 days later and said, "You know, it might be interesting to teach someone as old as you."
And how old were you again?
I must have been 40.
Okay.
But she teaches 4 or 5-year-olds,
Okay.
3-year-olds. So she hadn't done an adult before. So when I did take the lessons with her, she enjoyed teaching me so much, she asked me to be her last student of the week. So on Saturdays at the end of the day, I became her last student. And she asked, "Are you taking lessons from somebody else? Because you're learning this stuff too quickly." Well, it's mathematical. And I did physics in undergraduate school. So if you're doing things that are mathematical, it's orderly. And music is orderly. You've got your bars, you've got your notes. It's all 60. Yeah, you got the scale, you got everything. So piano's very easy for me. So.
Let's talk about the boards. So, the different boards that are in charge of pulling the productions together, pulling the sponsorship together. Do you feel that the boards have equal representation on these boards, or there's room for improvement?
A couple of things here. Most boards are volunteer. So it's about you wanting to donate your time to do that, to go ask people for money, to help organize a show. I mean, everybody I know on the board, including myself, is a volunteer. And you ask people of like mind to join the board with you, then the board gets together and say, "Do we want this person or not?" And then there you are. So representation is certainly limited to a group of like-minded people who are already very pro whatever that art form is. Mm-hmm. Now, to try to expand that, you have to find people, minority people, if you will, who are appreciative of that art form. Therein laid sometimes the challenge, getting to know people who are interested in the ballet to that degree. I mean, you may have people who are beginning to want to perform ballet and dance ballet, but you don't have too many people going to go out and say, "Would you give me $100 for the ballet company? Would you give me $5,000 for the ballet company?" And that's what they need. They need people who are willing to have the clout, not the clout, connections, if possible, that they can ask for large donations, $5,000-$10,000. I was at Shakespeare Theater Company with the committee. I was asked to be on the committee to help promote a play called The Secret Garden, which had one day that was dedicated to military families which had lost a parent in combat. And one of the board members said, "Look, I'll donate $5,000." I said, "Whoa, I can donate maybe 500, but we're not going to thousands." But the thing becomes a matter of what you can do and who you can pull into your sphere of influence. Mm-hmm. And the more of that you can do, the more value you are as a board, the more valuable you are as a board member.
Sure.
Board members invariably are going to be people who have money. It doesn't matter what color you are, people who have money. Or who know people with money that you can call on. And see, I can call Daryl here and say, "I need $7,000-8,000," and he can sign a check. He can write out a check.
Let's go. Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Someone find my ascot.
What denomination?
What's ascot? That's exactly right. That's what. And then if you know people, it's all the better. You become more popular. And the other side is, I think, for whatever, I don't know why people like me as a person, when I go to places and people say, "I saw you at Arena Stage, I saw you at Wolf Trap." And I say, "Why, I haven't met you yet." But it becomes just interesting to see people want to reach out to you because they think you are a like-minded person. Mm-hmm. And that if you're someone who thinks the way they do and can discuss things the way they can, and they usually can, especially if it's dealing with performing arts, stage, Broadway, movies. I'll go to 8 performances a week. And I'll go to a movie every Monday unless there's an opera on a Monday. And I'll invariably catch a movie on Thursday night after whatever the performance is.
Every week?
Yeah. Is that not okay? I'll stop. You don't want me to, I'll stop.
No,
I don't have to.
I admire that.
Well, there's a matinee every Saturday.
Okay.
Every Sunday. That's 2. There's an evening performance on Saturday. That's 3. On Sunday, that's 4. There's no performance on Monday, so my 5th performance is Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. So I've got
movies on Saturday.
At 9 a.m. at Tyson's Corner on Saturday. They open at 9, so I can catch my movie before the 2 p.m. play. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, your background is super intriguing to me. When you think about the youth of today, right, or even adults who haven't been indoctrinated into this space, why have we moved away from introducing kids to the arts and not telling them about their craft and focusing on certain things? What are we missing?
All right, let me come back at you. Who is going to introduce the kids?
That's fair. Because, I mean, we're not...
Invariably, it's mom and dad, or mom or dad. And if mom or dad has not been introduced, then you've got a void there.
Right.
And then you've got teachers who want to do this, and the kids today quite often push back at what a teacher is giving them. It's a very special teacher that can reach you and have you come along with them. Invariably, you're not. I mean, I like music, I like poetry, so I still remember poems I learned in 8th grade. And every now and then I'll recite them to my grandchildren. So, and they're like, "How do you remember that?" Well, I just learned it. Well, I mean, I still remember the lines to some of the plays I've been in. And when I go to see a movie, I remember lots of the lines of the movies. So, and I'll see 3 movies a week.
I saw you briefly touched on what you just talked about, like kind of the school system, and then hopefully you can find a teacher that can reach out to the student and
Yes.
meet them at their point of need as far as relating to the performing arts. Why have you seen, and this is all across the country,
yes,
the detraction and taking away of performing arts from the school systems?
Well, the first thing is nobody wants to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Budget. It's the first thing to go.
That's what they say.
Which is terrible.
Performing arts and sports are the first 2 things that go. Mm-hmm. And if sports can get the school some notoriety and the alumni some notoriety, then the sports will stay. Yeah, right. But performing arts is not going to do that. It's not going to give it. I mean, you're not going to get a Mikhail Baryshnikov dancing at South Lakes High. Right. Coming up. I mean, it's possible, but it's not likely. And the biggest thing is that there has to be, what leads the arts to lose out is that there's not an emotional support for it. Now, there are a lot of people who are middle class, let's start with that, who are willing to attend art events and willing to support some of the theaters they attend and some of the places they go. But they don't go to school performances. high schools have plays. I go to the high school plays, especially where my grandchildren go to school, and the theater's never full. These are student performances. The students are trying to do the thing they like, the performing arts, and they do know about things that are free and discounted. Once a year, Shakespeare Theater puts on at Nationals Park. No, sorry, it's Washington National Opera.
Okay.
Puts on at Nationals Park Opera in the outfield. It'll be free for anybody that wants to go. They'll do it on the big jumbotron because you can go sit out in the outfield. That's the one time you can go to Nationals Park and sit out in the outfield, have a blanket, go up and get your burgers or dogs, and go sit down on you with your half smoke or whatever, sit on the lawn, and just have a good time.
That's
watching
cool,
the big opera on the big jumbotron, or you can sit up in the stands.
Yeah.
The same thing at Shakespeare Theater. Once a year they have what they call a free-for-all. Now they'll announce what play they're going to do. Usually it's a play from the previous season, and it's free for anybody that wants to go. All you got to do is call them and say, I want to come, so they don't have too many people showing up for a particular performance. They'll put you down for however many tickets you need. I'll only get 10 tickets for the third Sunday, and I'll find 10 people to bring along. But it's free.
You're listening to Divergent Thought, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the power and importance of the arts. Call in and talk to us, 202-652-0708.
We were talking about, well, first, before we were talking about boards and attendance. So now let's actually talk about the performers.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I mean,
Lots of
I
good
was
ones.
fortunate enough to see Misty Copeland at
Yes, you were
Wolf Trap,
fortunate enough.
which was,
You could have come.
which was awesome. Yeah, you could have.
Hey, it was like a last minute thing, right? Am I
Yeah.
lying about this?
Okay,
No.
yeah,
But that's
that's-
my ignorance for not knowing in advance.
Yeah,
All right.
but now you're in the know.
Now
you
I'm in the
know.
know.
Now you're in the know. But not just her, and I think you have a whole list or a whole roster that you can go through and talk about those
Performers?
minority performers who are crushing in the game.
Yeah.
Are we going to see more of that? Is this an upward trend?
It is an upward trend. It's very much an upward trend because every theater in the metropolitan area, every major theater in the metropolitan area has a youth training program. And a lot of those youth training programs provide performing arts venues. And I saw Oklahoma in 2012 at Arena Stage. The young lady who played a character called Ado Annie, she was like 14 or 15 when she had the role, but she came out of Arena Stage's kids camp, and she was so enthusiastic about what she was doing, they cast her as one of the characters. And for the next 3 years, I saw her in a play somewhere almost every year. So she does have her resume creds already built up,
Right.
Wow.
and she sang as well. So it is coming. Arena Stage, Shakespeare Theater, Studio Theater. I'm going to say Renaissance Theater, not Renaissance. Studio Theater
J.
Theater J, and Signature Theater. That's what I was trying to think of. Signature Theater in Shirlington, and there are others. I mean, every September and October, the metropolitan DC area, which has almost close to 100 theaters in this area, in the commuting area, 50 of them agreed to do plays either written by a woman or directed by a woman over September and October. And it's Women in Theater program. And they do it every year, and some of the plays are just amazing. They write them for the production, for the 2-month period, or they'll pull out plays that they've already got written. So it's very good. So there are a lot of young people out there, minority kids, be with the African American, Hispanic, Asian, whatever it might be. There's room for a lot of kids. I went to a play reading at Arena Stage 3 months ago, maybe 2 months ago, for a play called Watch on the Rhine. The mother was Caucasian female. The eldest son was an African American. The eldest daughter was Persian, and the kids were Asian and Persian. And that's Arena Stage and the Washington National Opera. They cast based on skill and talent, and I've got this from conversations with the people who are in charge. They don't cast based on the traditional ethnicity of the character in that particular production. So it doesn't matter that if Othello finds a good character who's white, then Othello will be white in this production.
Wow. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine. I'm all about the skill set of showing to people that color doesn't matter in the performing arts. When Norm Lewis, a bass baritone, African American, was cast as the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway,
Nice.
I was like, oh, go,
Right.
go. And he did an excellent job. He got good reviews, everything. And then, of course, he went to Les Miserables, and he played the policeman, Javert. And he was the first African American to do that. So he's got some creds in terms of people appreciating his skill set.
Could you walk me through the resume of? I mean, of course, there's always.
Darryl?
No, I know his resume.
That'll take 5
Yeah,
seconds.
take. Right. But of someone like the gentleman you just
Norm Lewis.
mentioned, Norm Lewis.
Yeah.
How does he get to that level of being?
Well, it's always beginning as a kid.
Right.
Doing things as a kid.
So can you walk us through that?
Well, yeah, if you're cast into something as a kid, it's easy for you to get the next thing.
Okay.
The kid who, right now, there are 3 youngsters performing in a play at Arena Stage, with the Watch on the Rhine. And there was a kid who played Oliver in the musical, and just one after another. I see kids all over. But going from being a kid and being cast, then it's a matter of you going to the casting call and then being energetic enough to demonstrate your prowess to whomever is casting. Because they want to look at as many kids. And around here, every mom is going to have that kid down there trying to get their payday, so to speak. Everybody wants that. So when you're going from, it's all about the casting calls. Now, there are times when casting calls are interlaced with a director knowing a particular person, knowing this person has the skill set or the talent that he or she needs. I can say that Charles Randolph Wright, who directed Motown, and had the trust and confidence of Berry Gordy to take that story and bring it to the stage. Charles directed a play called Ruined, and when he directed it in London first, then he brought it to the United States to Arena Stage, and he wanted the lady who he starred, he had in the play in London.
Okay.
So he worked the deal, and he talked to the theater, let's do whatever we have to do to get that particular artist. And they did that, and she came to the United States and did the role. An a African-British female.
Okay.
So we talked about kids a lot, like, based on your experiences and expertise in this subject matter, what about people in their 20s, 30s, 40s who feel like they can get on stage, or they have that hidden ability or latent ability to get on stage and act? Where can they go?
Yeah, like me. Where
Same
can I
place.
go?
Same place.
Arena
You
stage.
just have to go to the casting call.
Okay.
And show what you've got. Now, I go to so many plays, I see a lot of actors of color, and they're a wide range of ages. If you go over to Mosaic Theater on 8th Street downtown, there are 3 theaters in that building, and there's always something going on there. So when you look at that and the idea of where can you, or even I, and I'm 69, so where can any of us go to do the role? You have to find a part that wants your particular specificity, your physic, your face, your voice, whatever is needed, you have to be able to fit that. Now, the other thing is, if you're doing drama, you do have to cry on demand.
Right.
Guys don't. Yeah, most guys don't do that well. We don't cry on demand.
I try to think of a very sad moment and get there.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah,
You have to do that.
Take it to a dark place.
You have to keep that with you. You have to be able to stay with it. Now, the other thing is that you have to, if you're going to be a real actor, you have to play whatever comes along. So the play Angels in America is coming out. It's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be on National Theatre Live, simulcast to cinemas from London's West End.
What's it called?
Angels in America.
Angels in America.
When it came out, I think in the 60s, it was blockbuster, mind-blowing. I mean, it just took every award possible. It did everything. And it was about the gay pride movement thing.
Okay.
And HIV AIDS and all of that stuff. And the play is definitely about the life of the gay male and how that's portrayed or done, and coming to grips with the fact that you may or may not be gay, whatever it might be, people around you who are, whatever. And I saw the play done at Roundhouse Theater in Bethesda. And it was just, the acting is so much. But the acting thing becomes an issue for guys on average, that you're not going to be too confident hugging another guy or kissing another guy. So that's where it falls down when you talk about what can we do. If you're being cast for one of those guys and you have a boyfriend, not a girlfriend, you might say, I don't think I want to do this play. Right. So, but you can't turn down those roles if you want to be a successful actor. And that's where the rubber meets the road. Do you want to do what they're asking of you?
Is this a full-time position, like being
No.
I mean, okay, all right. So being on Broadway is kind of...
Contract.
Okay.
The length of the contract. Then Manuel Miranda with Hamilton had a contract for 1 year. It ended on 9 July 2016.
That's what it was.
So now he went off to do Moana, wrote the music for that, and he's now done another project. So whatever the contract is, I mean, you sign for whatever contract you can get. Mm-hmm. Invariably, the contract is going to be 8 weeks, 12 weeks if you're lucky. And if they don't extend the run, then you're done. You've got to find another job. Most actors and actresses whom are good at this, they will have another contract in the works while they're performing. Mm-hmm. And you know, some of the ones around here, Ife Butler, she's playing in Sweeney Todd. Mm-hmm. You know, Sweeney Todd. Mm-hmm. She's at Olney Theater in Olney, Maryland, playing Sweeney, and she plays the lady who gets the bodies and turns them into meat pies.
Okay.
And I saw her doing the play Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Smokey Joe's Cafe.
It was amazing. And everybody in the cast was amazing. She and Nova Payton were two of the stars of that. Nova right now is starring in a play called Caroline or Change at Roundhouse Theater in Bethesda. And she plays the role of a maid in 1960s Lake Charles, Louisiana, around the time Kennedy is killed. And it's a musical. And Nova's got this big, booming, amazing voice. She's done Dreamgirls. She's done a wide variety of things. And all to the credit of her big voice. She did a Christmas cabaret at Signature Theater. I went to it, and it was just great. Just great. So there are people who do things. The lady by the name of Dawn Ursula won a Helen Hayes Award for doing Queen's Girl in the World at the Jewish Community Center Theater, Theater J, at 16th and Q Northwest. And she had about 15 characters to play. She played herself, her girlfriend, as an 8th grader, her mother, her father, her teachers at school for each of the years the play covered. She played several of her different friends. And her father was Jamaican, and she came with a Jamaican accent, and I believed her.
So how was it that someone like that, like I've never heard of her before, and I'm not, I dabble in the arts a little bit. I used to play in the orchestra. But how was someone that, from what you're explaining to me, that seems so talented, it's not like, as we say, discovered? It's not
she is discovered locally.
Okay, but not mainstream is what I'm saying. How come she's not a...
Well, it depends on what you mean. If you're talking about mainstream, Hollywood and big movies and Broadway plays, she's done plays all over the country.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, she hadn't gone after those other roles. That doesn't mean she would have gotten them. Right. I like to think she would have, because she's... I have not heard her sing, so I don't know about her singing. But her acting is over the top.
But that, so you're saying, like, her journey of not going after trying to be famous is by choice. You know,
I don't know that, but I believe that.
So when you talk about somebody, Daryl...
But she's famous locally.
Right, I'm trying. So Daryl was talking about a little bit ago, you know, someone like Misty Copeland, right?
Right.
When you think about your process from acting and, you know, dancing and all that type of stuff, the craftsmanship that you have and your, I'll use the word obsession to be the best that you can be in that, how do you get people to want to do that now if you don't have that straight shot trajectory to fame or notoriety or significant recognition? Because I think a lot of times as people try to do stuff, it's because they think they can get famous by it, not just because they love the craft. And
certainly that's sports. So my grandson playing basketball, he goes to try for any team he can. He thinks he's going to be the next NBA inductee. And what? Okay. The possibility is there, but he's just still in high school, and he doesn't play on anybody's team.
But I'm talking about specifically in the
In the arts, yeah, I understand.
About 8 weeks that you're grinding, go, and that's not even including when you say the songs that you have to learn. That's just learning your lines, and if it's not
Yeah,
cool,
learning and rehearsing the lines.
right before you can come
Yeah.
off script and say, all right,
And if you're an adult with a family, you have to be able to support the family too. So you got to find a job.
right. So you're working full time, and now
You're working full time. You're learning lines. You can go on stage. You're doing all these things. I was at Studio Theater, and one of the ladies was coming out, and I said, "Hey, wonderful job. Thank you, thank you, thank you." I said, "Oh, great, great. I love to stay in chat, but I got to go to work." She was a waitress at a restaurant, maybe 3 blocks from the theater.
Yeah, people don't know that.
And that was and the play was over at 10:30,
Starving
and she's
artists.
just going to work.
Yeah, people don't know that. A lot of times they see these people on stage or in magazines.
And it's glamorous. It's glamorous.
And they don't know the hustle behind it. That you're going to work in
Serious hustle. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean it's pretty an impressive journey. Because I mean, I'll expose my ignorance on this. I'm not really into theater like you guys are talking about. So this conversation is super learning experience. Man, I'm getting better.
But you will.
Right, I'm getting better at it.
Especially talking to this guy.
But it's one of those things that goes back to Mr. Lewis's point. If you're not introduced to that early,
Exposure.
Yeah.
you know, I'll take my
Exposure.
daughter to Wolf Trap, exposed to it early. I would take my daughter to Wolf Trap, you know, several times for her to see different plays. But I mean, that's just because, you know, if you meet somebody like Daryl, he's like, yo, go in this place or part of leadership organization, and they say, oh, there's this venue. I didn't even know these things existed.
Right.
So again, I'll expose my ignorance on that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But
Well, there's a theater. Sorry for cutting you off. There's a theater that does only children's plays in downtown DC. I don't remember the name. I've not been. I don't have any small kids to take, so I haven't focused on it. But there is at least one theater that does only children's things. And Wolf Trap itself in the summer has what they call Theater in the Woods,
Yeah.
which does only children's things. And every theater you've got in Manassas, Virginia, the Manassas campus of George Mason, which is their S&T, Science and Technology campus, they have the Hilton Performing Arts Center. And all mixed throughout their season, they have children's performances with adults in costumes like a big furry rabbit or a dog or whatever it might be. But it's all entertain kids. And a lot of it's improv. So they'll come up and they'll say, what's your favorite color? Kids yell out a color, they'll write it down. What's your favorite food? They'll write it down. Who's your favorite actor or favorite person? They'll write down the name. And then the actors will immediately then make up a play based on the answers the kids have given them. And then the kids straight improv. And then the kids are just wild about it. And then they can yell at the actors and talk to them and do whatever else. And the same is with Cinetic Theater. Cinetic Theater in Arlington, Crystal City Underground, does not have, they do plays, all of their Shakespeare plays are wordless plays.
Oh.
They're all wordless plays.
I can't do that. I tried that one. I couldn't get into it. I could not. I couldn't get into that. So what is that called again? What type of art is that? Where it's just it's kind of, I don't want to call it miming, but
Yeah, no, they're not miming.
What-
It's
what-
Cinetic Theater.
Okay,
They're
Cinetic
acting,
Theater. Okay.
but they're acting and not doing words. They're letting their choreography and the music
Right, yeah.
get the idea. When they did Romeo and Juliet, it was clear to me what was going on.
Yeah.
When they did Alice in Wonderland, when they did Othello, when they did Twelfth Night, All's Well That Ends Well, I mean, the directing of the play with the actors allows the director to bring out of them, and through movement, things that will elucidate what's clear in the story that's being told. So it's not a problem.
yeah, I'm not saying that I couldn't decipher what was going on, but it just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't my cup of
Didn't
tea.
enjoy it that way. Yeah,
not that
I understand.
much. Not that much. So.
But if you love theater, then it would be. So you've got to get the connection to the theater so that you like just what's on stage and what's being presented to you. For me, it wouldn't matter whether they have words or not. I'd go for it.
We were talking about domestic opportunities, but there are also foreign opportunities as well, right? To be with a production company that's going to...
Well, if the company's going to travel, yeah. But that's more competition.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're taking Lion King and you're taking it abroad, some of the people in the
That's a
roles,
beautiful play.
yeah, some of the people in the roles aren't giving them up. They're going to keep signing contracts year after year after year. And if the producers are happy with them, they'll re-sign them. So the guy who played Simba's father, Mufasa, when I ran into him, he had been performing 9 years.
What?
Same role, same character.
So when you talk about the competitive nature of the arts, right?
Yes.
It's really that rough out there. I mean, you hear about the starving artists and people, but I guess I always equate that to Hollywood, right? I don't necessarily think about around here.
New York.
Competition is always there for all these roles.
It's always there because you have to feed yourself. You have to have a roof over your head. And what's the rent you have to pay for a place to live? What are you paying for meals? Are you having a Happy Meal every day, or whatever it might be? The trick is you have to, I would say, go with the ease of not just explaining to yourself what you're facing, but explaining to family.
I'm gonna jump in one second.
Go ahead.
We have a call.
Call, you there? Hey,
Hello.
what's your name? Hey, Latoya, what's going on? Talk to us.
Cut in the school. So outside of knowing just offhand that maybe Wolf Trap does it or other areas do improv for children that you guys mentioned in Manassas, what would you suggest is the best way to actually push the information out to families and the younger generation?
Well, somebody somewhere is going to have to do the exposure. If it's pushing the information out through programs like this, through flyers, through word of mouth to children in schools, and that's probably the easiest. Just take something written down, put it on an 8x10 sheet of paper, and mimeograph it, run it off, and let that go to the adult supervision that child has. And if it's something that's easily affordable, so that somebody doesn't have to spend an arm and a leg to go. I mentioned earlier, maybe before you began listening, that most of the theaters around town have pay what you can nights. So if you can only afford to pay $1, that's what you pay, and you still go to the play. And some of them have free nights, and you can find the free nights through their websites, or even call their box office and ask what you have that's for someone who has to pay attention to a budget.
So what were some of the names of the places for kids? You said Arena Stage was one.
Arena Stage has a children's program as well as performances for children. They Wolf Trap has the Theater in the Woods, the Hilton Center for Performing Arts at the Manassas campus of George Mason University has a children's program. George Mason has its own children's program, and you'll probably find Theater J at 16th and Q Northwest has a children's program. And it's very easy to just call them on the phone, and they will send you literature. And you can find that. You can call almost any theater, just open the phone book or get a newspaper, look in the performing arts section, and call any theater and ask them, what do you have for children? And ask them, can they send you something? Can they send you something? And they almost always will, because they want people in the seats in their theaters.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call, Latoya.
Sure,
Okay.
please.
There you go. Go ahead.
Talked about going like casting calls and whatnot.
Yes, yes.
How do you find out about the casting?
Yes, it is. Almost every place that does casting calls, they will make it available in their own literature. It'll be on their website, and it may well be in the newspaper. The larger theaters will put it in the newspaper, but you can always call and ask to be put on their mailing list. And invariably, I know for the Alden Theater in McLean, I receive emails all the time saying casting call for A, B, and C, and the same for Arena Stage at 1101 6th Street Northwest. They have casting calls, and they announce them publicly. So you don't need an agent for the casting calls, no.
Thanks for your call, Latoya. We have another caller on the line right here. Caller, you there? Caller, are you there?
Hi.
Hey, caller. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great to see such a love for the arts in your guest. And so my question would be, for someone who's interested in plays and getting involved, but trying to change sort of the director's mind. You know, sometimes, especially when you have, like last year with Oscar So White and folks talking of Hollywood sort of being whitewashed, how do you change a director's mind when they sort of don't see you
Well, the first problem is you don't. So the director has to want to change for some reason, and you've got to, if you have the strength and capacity to do it, you have to show the director a reason to come up with another approach to what he or she is doing. The director, for most plays, is the boss. The only person that tops the director is the producer, who's putting the money up for it. And if the producer doesn't agree with the director, then you've got a different issue. And whatever mind changing the director has, if the producer doesn't agree with the mind changing, the director's idea is out, and they'll get a new director when that goes along with the producers. So it becomes a matter of becoming a strong enough actor or actress such that the director pays attention to you. And if the director wants to have you in their performance, they'll listen to the recommendation that you give of changes in their approach to that particular production. Does that help?
Oh, it does. I'm just wondering if that, do you see that as one of the problems in the arts today, or do you see that changing?
I don't see it changing, no, because directors tend to have their own cup of clout. Now, what happens if social consciousness changes enough to impact the people that are putting on these on various plays and performances, the social consciousness will be where the change comes from, and they have to see enough going on in the press, in the news, or maybe what's going on in some of the movies that will help them to see something different about what they're doing. And only then will you get a real change in the director's mindset.
Thank you.
Sure, glad I could
Thanks for
help.
the call.
Yeah. So you mentioned a number of productions throughout this entire show, and we never.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
I apologize.
Actually, no, yeah. But I guess we were remiss. We didn't even ask your favorite
Exactly.
type of
That was gonna be my
production.
question.
Is it opera? Is it musical? Is it plays? Which one
My
is...
favorite thing's a Broadway musical, so give me a South Pacific, South Pacific, anything I can sing along with, especially if I have performed it already, it's all the more. And the favorite play for me has been The Fantastics. I had the lead role in it twice. So for half a year easily, I sang the lead song, Try to Remember the Kind of September When Life Was Slow and Oh So Mellow. And the songs of there was a song
You
called...
just said it, though. Can you sing it for us or no?
I could. There is another song called Why... Well, we said no. Said, why did the kids pour jam on the cat? Nobody pours jam on the cat. Raspberry jam all over the cat. Why would the kids do something like that? The reason is we said no. And then said, why did the kids put beans in their ears? No one can hear with beans in their ears. After a while, the reason appears. They did it because we said no. And I'm singing that with the other parent. And we live next door to one another. There's a son, a boy and a girl, and the fathers are trying to get them together. But they're pretending they're having a feud so that the kids will go get together despite the parents' feud. And another song goes, your daughter brings a young man and says, do you like him, Pa? Just say that he's a fool and then you've got a son-in-law. So it's very much a comedy, and it was the longest running comedy on Broadway it started in the 60s, and it ran through, it ran 30 some odd years. And then it left Broadway and it came back. And the first star of that was Jerry Orbach, if you know the name. He was in Dirty Dancing, if any of you saw that. He played the father of the girl, Baby.
Okay.
That was her father. And he was also in like NYPD Blue or some show like that as a police lieutenant.
SVU.
SVU?
Yeah.
Okay. I never watched it, but yeah. And he died of cancer some years later. And after he died, the Snapple Theater at 52nd and Broadway was renamed for him, the Jerry Orbach Theater now. And they show the Fantastics every single night.
Wow.
And they've been doing it for 10 years.
Wow.
At that one theater.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the last couple of callers that called and you think about the kids or people who want to get engaged now, what are your recommendations for getting engaged?
Get engaged. So I start volunteer. If you find small community theater, volunteer to help backstage, to build things, help build a set, help paint. whatever you can do, help put sizing on the cloth that needs to be firm to make the backings. And from there, you'll begin to hear about other things. They may ask you, say, can you come on Saturday and help me over at the Kennedy Center because I need to put something together, whatever. Can you hammer, nail? Can you do carpentry, whatever. Once you begin to get the roar of the grease paint and the smell of the crowd into your system, then you'll want to play more. And that's if you enjoy what you're doing and don't get hurt on anything, hitting your hand with the hammer or anything like that.
There's no workers' comp.
There's no workers' comp. Not until you become a member of the union. But if you do that, you can also do casting calls, as we talked about earlier. If you find one, if you're energetic enough, if you have the stamina, if not that you're athletic, but some plays the roles are quite demanding.
Yeah, some movement in there.
It's movement in there. And some of them have fighting roles. The play I saw last night, one guy attacks another and strangles him. Is the story. And then he comes out for the curtain call. I said, he's dead. How can he come back to take a bow? Then he should have brought him out on a gurney, covered with a sheet. But it's all about learning stage fighting. And the Shakespeare Theater has several places have master acting classes. They have fight classes. I've known people who started off acting and later they become fight directors. They choreograph the fighting on stage. And if you're choreographing a Shakespeare play, you've got armies that are going at it with one another. And you've got to choreograph everybody. You've got to know where this blow is coming from, where it's going to land, who's going to block it, who's going to duck, how you're going to swing and miss. All of that has to come in there.
You know, in the last 4 minutes or so of the show, we always like to round robin it and, give some final words from, each of us on the panel and,
Sure.
Our special guests. So, do people jump in with you? What are your final thoughts, man?
It's like, get out and try it, right? If it's something that you haven't been exposed to, get out and try it. You really can't, to me, you really can't say, oh, it's not for me. It may not be for you, but at least go out and try it, and then you can say legitimately, it's not for me. But get out and try it. I think you might surprise yourself.
True.
For me, going back to that first call we had, how can we get our children exposed? Just a personal tad, a little story about me. I was a first chair trombone player. I was taught by a first chair trombone player in the National Civic Orchestra and also in the Marine Band. And I started off with the flute. Yeah, but and that all started from my father turning on the TV. I was watching a Yanni PBS special. I'll never forget it. And I heard Karen Briggs play the violin, and that woman, and she happens to be an African American, and I think it was at the Acropolis, and I was like, I want to make music. I want to learn how to play music, and from then on, I just, that's how we started. So even just the flick of the remote control. That is how you can, because kids are sponges. They'll just suck it all up.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly right.
Change the channel. Turn off Sports Center. Turn on something enlightening.
There you go.
It could be that simple.
You have to have that drive, that willingness to turn off that thing. That if you go to work on Monday morning and you didn't watch the game on Sunday,
right.
you're the oddball out.
Right.
I have never seen a Super Bowl. Wow. Ever.
That's an accomplishment.
I read a book.
Yeah, that is an accomplishment.
Or I go ride a bicycle.
So 2017, what's your recommendations for this year? What should people go out and see?
First thing you should do is find a comedy. Be sure you enjoyed fun. So find a comedy that's at your maturity level. There are some plays out there that do shows, comedy, that are a bit more rakish and a bit more raw. Sheer Madness is a good show, yeah. Sheer Madness is fun. If you find something, certainly for kids, you're going to take daughter or son, find out what their age is, and the theaters will give you a recommended age that they think is good for them. And if you go out and find a comedy, that's the place to do. Now, also, read books with the kids if you want to get the kids involved in it. Read the books with them, and if you can read the play with them, you've got the dialogue in the play. And if you're reading a play that has stage instructions, you can explain the stage instructions. Mary entered from stage left, walked across the stage down right, and met Robert holding the dinner plates. Mm-hmm. And you can explain what all that means and what the difference is between upstage and downstage, upstage here, downstage back there, and go with things that become new and interesting to them, and then take them to a theater and let them see it in action.
Well, we want to thank you tremendously for coming in, having this wealth of knowledge and sharing it with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, no, we'll have you back and forth for something.
Okay.
So great. So everybody, thanks for joining in and listening to Bliss.fm.
Yeah, tune in.
Next week we're talking about what
We're talking about Buffalo Soldiers. We're gonna have a history lesson with the Buffalo Soldiers. They're gonna be here and hopefully in full uniform. So in the spirit of Black History Month, tune in next week.
Yep. So until next time, love everybody, treat everybody right. We're out.
Peace.